So the Nintendo Switch, 6 months later. Any good? And if you like my videos on YouTube, you should definitely check out my weekly retro gaming podcast. New episodes released every Friday at theretrohour.com. Hey guys, how are you? Dan here with an updated look at the Nintendo Switch. Now, I've owned this system for the majority of 2017, so I thought it might be quite a good time to give you a little updated look at the Switch and, kind of give you my thoughts on it. Has it fit into my lifestyle well in 2017? Am I enjoying the games on it? Is it any good? Is it worth you going out and spending your hard-earned money on this Christmas? And if I want to summarise this video in just 2 words, I love it. Now, 2017 has been a bit of an unusual year for me. I mean, I spent quite a lot of time travelling this year. Probably about 2.5 months in various countries. I've been to Italy, I've been to France, I've been to Iceland, I've been to Norway, been all over the place this year. And that meant a lot of time on planes, on trains, staying in hotel rooms. Did about 4 gaming expos over the summer that involved staying in hotels. So having a system that I could take on the road with me has actually been very beneficial this year. I mean, I did have another one that I used to take away on holiday before that, and I've still got it, the 3DS, which is a great little system. I mean, playing stuff like Mario Kart 7 and Ridge Racer on the plane, I always enjoyed that with the 3DS, but this is an out-and-out handheld system. With the Switch, you get pretty much the power of a desktop gaming console in the palm of your hand. So that's been really cool, the fact that we're getting AAA games on the Switch now, stuff like the recent Doom game has been released on it, FIFA, if you're a fan of that. I mean, I'm not into football games, but I know I've got mates that do play FIFA on the go on the Switch and say it's really good. Those kind of AAA games are not quite up to the standard in terms of power that the PlayStation 4 and the Xbox One get them, but they do actually pack quite a bit of punch, and they are really good ports considering that this is a handheld system. And looking at how thin this is, the fact that I can play stuff like Mario Kart 8 Deluxe on here in handheld mode on a plane still kind of blows my mind, the power that they packed into this little system. Now, I did actually pick up a Nintendo Switch on launch day, which I'll be honest was not something I intended on doing. I mean, I did kind of follow the rumours in 2016 when it was called the Codename NX, and I watched that really impressive pre-launch trailer that Nintendo put out that, if you watch that, I think you'll agree, that was really well done. And that did whet my appetite for the Switch, and I knew that I was going to be doing a lot of travelling this year. But I thought what I'd probably end up doing is waiting until about June or July when more games are available, and maybe the Switch was a bit easier to get hold of and pick one up then. As it turns out, I kind of fluked it and walked into my local supermarket at 10 PM on launch day, and they actually had a few of these on the shelf, so I thought, well, I'm going to buy one anyway, may as well get one on launch day. And I've got to say, I'm really pleased that I did, because I've had such a good time with this system over the summer. And believe it or not, if you'd have told me this when I first picked up the Switch, I wouldn't have believed you. But the Nintendo Switch has now become my primary gaming platform. I'm gaming on the Switch more than I am my PlayStation or my Xbox One, which is just nuts. Now, there are various reasons for that. I mean, like I said, I have spent a lot of time travelling this year, and that's, meant that it's fit into my lifestyle really well. Playing it abroad or on planes and that kind of thing has been really good. But also, the fact that this system is pick up and play. Now, if you're like me and you've got quite a demanding job, I mean, I'm freelance, so I work for about 4 different companies at the moment, and, case in point, it's like I'm recording this video at like 10 to 7 in the evening. I've got meetings and stuff I need to do at 9 o'clock and 10 o'clock tonight. But the Nintendo Switch has actually fit into my lifestyle really well in that regard. The days are gone at the moment where I can sit down and play on my Xbox for 6 hours, but if I've got half an hour window, maybe I'm on a train on the way to a meeting, or if Samantha's got home from work and she's making dinner that night, I can just pick this up and play Mario Odyssey on the telly for half an hour without having to wait for things to update or install or go through big tutorials like you get on the bigger systems. And, last week, for example, I went out and bought the new Call of Duty game. Now, all right, hands up. I'm not proud of that. Every year I say the same thing. Right, I'm done with Call of Duty now. They've lost their innovation. The games are boring. They're rinsed out. Then every year the same thing happens. My brother ends up texting me, look, I've just bought the new COD. Do you want a few games over the weekend? Why don't you go and pick it up? I end up buying it and caving in every single year. But last Friday night, we're going to have a few games on Friday because, Samantha was out. And I thought, well, we'll boot it up. Have a lads' night virtually. Put the disc in my Xbox One, 8 o'clock on Friday night. Because I've been spending so much time with the Switch, I'd completely forgotten about those massive update and install times on the Xbox. So I put the disc in, it had a 39 gigabyte download, I think. Then it was like a 20 gigabyte update it had to do. By the time we got to play the new Call of Duty game, it wasn't Friday night anymore, it was actually Saturday afternoon. So that is one thing I'll say about the Switch. If you have a lifestyle that means you only get little windows to game in, if you're a busy person or you're a family person, you can just pick this up for half an hour and have a quick game. Pretty much like you could on retro systems, which is something the Switch has brought back. And a lot of that is because this uses cartridges. And that was one thing that was kind of, everyone was very skeptical about when the Switch got announced. Going back to cartridges, really, is that a good idea? But it does mean if you actually buy physical games on this, you put the cartridge in there, your updates are generally done in about a minute or two. You're not getting these massive 40GB installs. Obviously, you can buy digital on this machine as well and just have all of your games on the SD card that's built in. Now, I will say, I am a big fan of having the box and the cartridge for various reasons. I mean, I like having them on the shelf, but also it means if you ever want to sell your system, if you do a factory reset on this, all of your games are gone. You can't actually sell the games on anywhere or trade them in. So I do like having the actual games on cartridge and in a box for that reason. But this is actually really easy to take around to friends' houses or abroad and that kind of thing. And it's brought back couch gaming as well, which is something that I absolutely love. Now, a friend of mine, he picked up a Switch for his family during the week. It was for him, really. But he sent me a picture of his kids playing Mario Kart 8 on the TV. And they were sitting there with the Joy-Cons, took off the side of it, sitting there on the couch and having a couch gaming session, which is not something you see all that much on the other systems anymore, is it? I mean, I remember being a kid, playing stuff like Super Nintendo and Mega Drive and Amiga, around my friends' houses on the couch, and if you lose a game, you can punch your friend in the arm. Something you can't do playing on Xbox Live. Obviously, you can do online gaming on this as well, which actually works really good because the other night, with the same friend, we were playing Mario Kart 8 while our wives were actually watching television. So it means that we could just sit there, have a game of Mario Kart remotely, using the Switch in handheld mode and not having to tie up the family TV. So, even for online gaming, it's worked really well, and, I've really enjoyed using it in that mode too. Now, what I thought I'd do in this video is kind of show you a few of the accessories I've got for the Switch, a couple of the games that I'm really enjoying at the moment as well. Now, obviously, we do have the Switch itself with the Joy-Cons on the side here. You're looking at that in portable mode right now. I also went out and got the Pro Controller as well, which I do recommend if you intend on doing quite a lot of couch gaming, because I found actually my gameplay skills have improved quite a lot since I went out and bought the Pro Controller. Keep it between me and you, but if I'm playing with my friends on Mario Kart, for example, if they're using the Joy-Cons and I'm using the Pro Controller, I tend to win pretty much every round, so it definitely does improve your gameplay skills. It is a Pro Controller after all. And as you can see here, I mean, the layout is actually quite similar to the Xbox One controller. Same analog stick placement. The buttons, the action buttons are very nice on this. They're quite a bit bigger than the other systems and quite satisfying to press. And the D-pad's pretty decent. It's actually a little bit transparent as well, which is cool. And it does have quite a satisfying feel in the hand. Now, I've got to say, it is quite pricey. £59 I paid for this, and that is one thing that's a bit of a negative about the Switch. You'll tend to find, because it is quite early in this console's life cycle, stuff is quite expensive for it. Even multi-platform games, if you go out and buy a game that's also available on the PlayStation or the Xbox One, chances are it's going to be quite a bit more expensive on the Switch. I mean, manufacturers are using the excuse that you're kind of getting two in one. You're getting a handheld game and you're getting a TV game as well, but really I think it's just because there's quite a scarcity of games and hardware available, so they know that they can kind of take the piss a little bit. People are hungry for games on the Switch, so they can probably afford to charge a little bit more for it, knowing that you'll go out and buy it. I've also got the Joy-Con as well, which is actually a third-party one. I lost my original one that comes free with the system on my travels. But this one works just fine, and you can just clip off the Joy-Cons off the side of the system, clip it onto here, and essentially that gives you a controller you can hold in your hand. Some people say it's uncomfortable to use, but actually I've got no problems gaming with this. I think it's alright. The main reason I got the Pro Controller is just so I didn't have to keep snapping them off the side all the time and losing charge on the Joy-Cons. It's a bit easier just to have a standard controller that you use all the time in couch mode, but I've got no problem at all using the Joy-Cons on here. I also got a little carry case for the games too, which I do recommend you get one of these if you are intending on taking your Switch on the road with you, if you're going to be doing a bit of travelling, as it doesn't take up too much room in your suitcase or your bag. So all you do is take the cartridges out of the original boxes, got it upside down, and you just pop them into this little case here, and it has room for quite a few. And then if you want to game with them, you just pop them out, put that into your Switch, and then when you're done, put it back inside. So that obviously takes up a lot less space in your hand luggage if you're doing travelling. Definitely recommend you get one of these. It's quite cheap as well, only about 15 quid I think. I also got the official, I think this is Nintendo branded, carry case for it as well. Now this is quite sturdy, so it does mean if you're going to be taking this through an airport security, for example, it's going to get thrown around. Definitely worth getting one of these, and it will protect your Nintendo Switch. And I've got a few things in here that I keep for when I'm taking it away, like a set of headphones, USB-C charge cable there, and the little additions to the Joy-Con that let you use it in two-player mode, for example. So I recommend that you do get one of these if you are going to be taking it abroad and that kind of thing. It'll just mean that it doesn't get scratched up and beaten, so that is definitely worth getting. And that, again, wasn't too expensive. Now, I'll show you a few of the games I've got on physical here as well. And I've got a little collection here. The games actually come in these quite smart little cases. Kind of remind me a bit of like PlayStation Vita cases, that kind of size. I've got Splatoon 2, which I did love the original Splatoon on the Wii U. So this is, you kind of call this, maybe Call of Duty for kids with paint. Loads of fun, this game, and it is quite a pricey game on the Switch at the moment. I think I paid about 45 quid, but if you're making your list for Santa, this is a game that you've really got to pick up on the Switch, as is Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. Now, this is kind of the definitive version of Mario Kart 8. Again, I bought this on the Wii U before it, but with this you get all of the courses, all the DLCs included, a few extra bonus characters and courses as well, so if you are going to pick up Mario Kart 8, the Switch is the platform that you want to do that on. This game is a bit hit and miss. I've read mixed reviews about this. Sonic Forces. Now, this is a 3D Sonic game, and if you played the recent stuff like Sonic Boom, or was the other one Rise of Lyric, I think it was called. I didn't mind those games on the Wii U. They weren't amazing, but I'm a bit of a completist in that regard. I mean, I've actually tended to buy most of the Sonic games recently. I found this alright. It hasn't been as bad as some of the reviews I've read, but I will say, if you're doing to get a proper Sonic game on the Switch, Sonic Mania is the one to get. That's kind of the more traditional, 2D Sonic game, and that's the one that everybody's in love with at the moment. So that is digital only, unfortunately, but if you're going to get hold of that, you'll obviously get that off the eStore. Another game that you've got to get, obviously, is Mario Odyssey. Now, this is kind of the spiritual successor to Mario 64, really, and it totally lives up to the hype. I'm not a massive Mario fan, I'm not like a fanboy of Mario, but this is a game that you've got to get if you get a Switch. It's loads of fun, and it's a big game as well, so it'll keep you entertained for hours. Again, it is a AAA game for the Switch, so it's going to be at the pricier end of the market, but it's a good time to pick that game up right now. This was, again, that I got on launch. This is Super Bomberman R. I'm a big Bomberman fan. I remember playing it on the SNES back in the day, and it was a little bit overpriced when I got it. It was like, I think, about 50 quid. Now I've seen this go in shops for about 25. So, if you enjoy Bomberman, this is a really good version of it. Definitely recommend you pick that up. I'm a big Street Fighter fan, so getting Ultimate Street Fighter 2, the final challenges, that was a no-brainer for me. I wanted a good fighting game on the Switch, and this is by far probably the best one I played on here as well. You get new characters in here if you love Street Fighter 2. You can play it in lots of different graphical modes, kind of a comic book style, or kind of the more sharpened up original look as well. So it's Street Fighter 2, what more do you want me to say? Lots of fun. And if you want a good puzzle game on the Switch, Puyo Puyo Tetris. I'm not great at this game, but it's one of those I tend to find myself whiling away the hours playing. If I'm on a plane or something, I'll be like, oh, I'll have one more game. Before you know it, you've spent a 3-hour plane journey just playing this game. So they're the physical games I've got on here. I'll show you a few of the downloaded games that I've got on here too. Now, we do have Sonic Mania, as I mentioned, which is probably my most played game on the Switch recently. Loads of fun. And if you look at the eStore, there is actually quite a lot of Neo Geo games on here as well. Quite a lot of the original catalogue of the Switch on the digital store was taken up with ports of old Neo Geo games, and I did buy this one here, Mutation Nation, which is kind of like a Streets of Rage 2 kind of game, these side-scrolling beat-em-ups, and this is one of the best ones on the platform. Loads of fun, and if like me you kind of drooled at the Neo Geo when you were a kid, and it was kind of the domain of rich boys, really, wasn't it? Being able to play a few of these Neo Geo games on a proper console is actually a bit of a novelty. We have Namco Museum here as well, with a lot of these old Namco games, playing Galaga and Pac-Man and that kind of thing. Just having an arcade package on the Switch is, definitely a worthwhile addition. I'm a big fan of those old, traditional 80s arcade games, so this is a really nice package to own. Definitely recommend you get hold of that. Thimbleweed Park. Now, adventure games are one of my favourite genres. I used to play those old Lucasfilm and LucasArts games back in the day, and this game here, Lucasfilm's Ron Gilbert actually made this game, so it is kind of a spiritual successor to games like Monkey Island, if you loved those back in the old days, and it retains that kind of old school graphical quality, but also has a lot of that humour in there as well still, and it's kind of, it's got full speech in there and that now as well. You can play with various characters, but I'm having so much fun playing this. In fact, I've already bought this game on the Xbox One, on Steam, and the Switch as well. So I'm playing it through on like 3 different platforms, which is a bit crazy. We also have a Fast Remix, which is a bit of a Wipeout clone, actually. I do like my racing games, so it was quite nice to have one apart from Mario Kart on here. And this was, again, a launch game that I picked up on the Switch. So I haven't played it a lot recently now that I've got, other games on here, but it is definitely worth a buy, and it's quite cheap off the store. I think it was only about 15 quid to pick up off the eStore. And the final one is, this is a game that everybody's got to get if you're a Switch owner, Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. Now, the only reason I bought this game, which is I think the only AAA game that I've actually bought on digital only, is because, despite the fact that I picked up a Switch quite easily in the shops, I could not get a physical version of Zelda anywhere. I was trying in shops for about a month. In the end, I thought, look, I just want to play this game. I ended up paying like 45 quid and downloading it off the eStore. So I've got this only on the Switch itself, not on physical, which I'm fine with. It does mean that I've always got Zelda on here if I forget to bring my games with me. So that's been a little look at the Nintendo Switch. Over 6 months since I originally bought it, I can say if you are planning on picking up one of these systems, I guarantee you'll have loads of fun with this. And obviously it's a time of year when people are looking for Christmas present ideas, and there are some great family games on here as well. This is a proper family gaming system, and with it being Nintendo, everything on here is pretty much family friendly, and you're not going to get any gory titles. There's no Call of Duty or anything on here right now. So if you're doing a system that I just I cannot stress this enough, will give you the power of a gaming system that traditionally you'd always have hooked up to the TV in the palm of your hand and will fit into a busy lifestyle, go out and get the Nintendo Switch. So if you've got one and you're loving the Switch, or maybe you're not, I'd love to know your thoughts on the system, any games that you're loving. I want to say, because I know people will point this out on the video in the comments, there are a couple of games you might be thinking, why has he not got those? And they're obviously Doom. I've got that on the Xbox One. I kind of played it quite a lot last Christmas. Haven't really got any desire to play it through again on the Switch just yet, but it is on my Christmas list. The family will probably end up getting me it. LA Noire, which I played through. I completed this on the PlayStation 3. I'm not a big fan of replaying these kind of games. I kind of know all the story inside out, so I haven't picked it up, despite the fact that it has come out on the Switch. And Skyrim, which again, I did spend quite a bit of time with on the PlayStation 3. It's not really a genre I'm that into. I did put about maybe 40 hours into this on the PS3, but I haven't really got any real inkling to play it again on the Switch just yet. So I know they are 3 games that everybody says you've got to buy on the Switch. If you haven't played them before, I probably recommend that you do get them, but before the comments all come in, why have you not got Doom? Why have you not got Skyrim? That's my reasons why. Alright guys, thank you for watching. Let me know your thoughts on the Nintendo Switch in the comments, and I'll see you in the next vid.